Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. It's sunny and kind of warm in Richmond, so I'll take it. The sun's shining.
Right. You know we have a lot of snow.
Yes. And
Mm.
the further north we go, the more we get. So I'm sure you guys have a lot more than I do.
Oh, oh yes. Yes.
I didn't require registration for this one for some reason. So I don't know how many we're expecting. So there's only a couple of us right now. So we'll wait just a few more minutes to see um, if others will join us. But if anybody has any questions or wants to, discuss anything, we certainly can. But we will wait, like I said, just a few more minutes before we actually get started.
Okay.
Sasha, I see your message in chat. We will, most of the conversation today will be taking place in smaller breakout rooms for you guys to have that more direct conversation with one another. Um, so I hear that you don't have your mic or camera, but you might want to find a way where you can participate just so you can get the most out of it. Yeah, maybe join with Brett or something. Technology is great, right, friends? Mary, did you ever figure out the billing system? Are you good there?
No,
No.
I'm lost. And then I'm also, when I give the math test, online for my ninth, let's see, grade, when I get one test and it come back, and then when they go back in and take the other one, it'll say all tests complete, and they haven't even done it. So,
Only for the older math test? Is that what you're saying?
yes, like I test one member in reading this morning, and then at the end, when the 3 minutes was up, and it said all tests completed. So we go back in and try to do the math. All tests completed. So I just had her to do it on paper.
Yeah, let me look into that. With the testing component being new, there may be a couple kinks that may need to be worked out. But when I hear about them, I send them off to our tech guy to figure out what the issue is. So if
Yeah.
you could send me an email, maybe let me know the member's name where you were having that issue with. He can usually
Okay.
go in and
Well,
see if there's something wrong with like the coding or something.
and
So
I'm still stuck on those dates about the 20th and all of that. I just said, you know what? It's a good thing that I had printed it off before they changed over. I had printed out all the pre-test, and I have them in my binder. So those dates are correct, but the dates on there now is just
It is so strange, yeah, because on my end everything's coming back as it should be. So
I,
um
I'm,
technology.
it's something else.
Yeah. Well, besides that, I hope everyone else is enjoying the new online billing system. We just finished our first month of audit, like our desk reviews. And personally, I enjoy it because the system's a lot smarter, if you will. So it doesn't allow a lot of this common errors and mistakes of dates and such to be made. So I really enjoy the new online system, but it's unfortunate that there's still some things that need to be worked out. So I hear you, Mary, and I'll make sure we look into that. That way, those frustrations
Okay.
don't continue.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. All right. So there are only a few of us, so there's not as many as I was anticipating, and that might be on my end as the invitation went out later. It went out way sooner in my head. And then when I realized it didn't go out, it went out fairly late. So there's only a handful of us on here today. So I want to make sure that you guys take away what you need. And I don't know if there's going to be much need for smaller breakout groups since there's only about 6 of you. But we can definitely kind of see how it goes. But today, the intention was really just to allow intentional time for you to talk with your peers and create or ask questions and really collaborate and work together to create a club-wide schedule. But Christy, I see Christy's on the call. I'm assuming she probably has tons of advice she could offer, but maybe not so much of that need of creating a schedule. So if there is something particular that you hope to get out of the conversation today, ladies, just let me know, and I'll make sure that we get that for you. But in good fashion, we always start with the flow chart. So there's the flow chart. And then moving forward, I wanted to play around on Jamboard because I love Jamboard and I think it's a great way to collaborate. But also it was a way for you guys to be able to interact together. So I am posting the link in chat if you guys want to join us. My buttons are weird when I go to push them a lot. So I'm putting the link to Jamboard in chat. And if you guys want to join me over on Jamboard, what we're going to do is, if you click that link and join, you should come across something that looks like what is on your screen, and that is Jamboard. And if you are not familiar with Jamboard, it's a really neat tool because it's a way where we can all collaborate together. I teach a social emotional learning class online to some kiddos, and we use Jamboard a lot because it's a neat way for them to collaborate and share their ideas. So one of the first programming trainings that we did this year for Indiana kids was what makes a great strong Indiana kids program. And I absolutely love this Jamboard. I think everybody that collaborated to it made some really good points. So as we start thinking about planning and creating a club-wide schedule for Indiana kids, this is just a great reminder of all of those elements that you guys feel is important in creating an Indiana Kids program that is fun and works club-wide. So if you want to add to this, I'm going to leave it on the screen for just a minute. It's super easy to add. You just go to that toolbar on your left and you can pick a text box or a sticky note. Or you can go, add a picture from the internet or a picture of your kids or whatever. Jamboard's really neat because you can draw, you can do about whatever you want on it. But this is always fun, whether you were doing, group roles with kids or setting, program goals or program guidelines, or just trying to figure out what your favorite pizza topping is, right? You could do this in charts. You can do this in so many different ways. It's fun to do like selfies, like a scavenger selfie, where you have to go find something red and you snap a picture of yourself and then you put it, you can easily upload a picture and put it on the Jamboard too. So it's really, really neat, like I said, for just that online collaboration with the kiddos. But what I wanted to do today is on the next page of this is I wanted you guys to describe Indiana Kids at your club. This is going to be helpful for a couple different ways. Right now, I think it's going to be helpful for you guys to understand who is in the room with you guys, what other programs Indiana Kids looks like at their club. So for the next like 10 minutes, I want to spend some time on this particular Jamboard. And I'm hoping it will be something that I can save as a PDF and send out to others to help them as well, and to also help us in our legislative efforts and advocacy efforts of telling the Indiana Kids story. So just describing Indiana Kids at your club, whether, like I said, it's through text box or through a Post-it note or a picture. I stole this picture from one of you clubs. I'm not sure which one of you. But you can do that. So spend the next few minutes and just add to the board and let us know what Indiana Kids looks like at your club. And if you have questions, definitely let me know. Sasha, did you make it over there with Brett? Yep, I see you. Okay, I just had to move my screen a little. Have you guys ever used Jamboard? You're on mute, but have you guys ever used Jamboard before?
Putting and stuff. I refuse to use any more of it.
I love Jamboard. So play around, use the toolbar on the left-hand side. Do you see that? There you can do like a text box, you can do like a Post-it note, you can add a photo. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, but let's see what the program looks like at your guys' site, either via words or photos.
Thank you. You really do. I'm like just so like excited. I've never stuck with something like that.
Kendra, Cheyenne, you guys good?
I'm going to let one of my members.
Yeah.
What better way to do this?
I agree. I agree.
So, and she can tell the truth.
Yeah. And the neat thing is you can just type in Jamboard in Google. It's a Google tool and it's free. So I do it a lot. And it may be even a good Indiana Kids project or a career project, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? Like you can create this entire board that is related to skills or what you think that career looks like, or maybe what college you want to go to, or what certificate, technical certificate you're after, or what have you. But each kiddo could, create a Jamboard and you could share them with each other. And then maybe guess whose Jamboard you're looking at based off of just what they've written and not knowing it. But, who wants to be a police officer based off of this Jamboard that they created? Then you could have others guess. You could do a lot of neat things with Jamboard, but I wanted to spend this time letting you guys get familiar with it and understand all of the really neat things you can do with it. And if you share it via a link like I did in the chat box, Kendra, that might be, make sure you go to the link that's in the chat box. But the neat thing about Jamboard is anybody can edit it when you send the link, and then you can also save it as a PDF and share it out with others. So you can actually take it as a tangible resource off of the computer as well. So whether through words or pictures, anything you can think of, like how do you describe the Indiana Kids program at your club? I mentioned on the last webinar we had that I recently learned about Kudo board. There's a Kudos board, and I haven't really played around on it, but a lot like Jamboard, it's called Kudo board, and your staff and such, or you can go on and do it as like a team, and you can always contribute, like, caught being good, or, here's a virtual high five. But It's like a kudo board where you can share positive things that's happened. Maybe you share it with parents or what have you. But kudo board's the same kind of concept, but like I said, it's more of like a praise. I think it'd be neat to see like a club utilize it on one of their like flat screens, like in the lobby or whatever, that kudo board's up. Like, so when parents and what have you come in, it's like, hey, you know, there's my kid caught on that kudo board. They were, you know, doing X, Y, or Z. So it's a way to share good news and things happening. So that's really neat. All right, guys, I'm gonna give you a few more minutes. Let's add some more things to the board. Describe Indiana Kids at your club. I'd really like for you guys to contribute and help me fill this board up a little. Sasha and Brett, you guys have an Indiana Kids program at your club. Can you not describe it in words, or are you struggling?
We're struggling a little bit. I
Like-
mean, we're just now starting to learn more about it. I mean, in the past, we were implementing, like we were working in the homework room, doing the homework sessions, trying to help the kids do some different volunteer work. But now we're kind of on the other end of things, trying to figure out all the paperwork that needs to be submitted. And we're just now starting to get the kids to do the online testing, which hadn't been done before. So we're just trying to figure it out. But ultimately, like, it makes this program helps us make like the kids and staff accountable for a lot of, good things. Like making sure they're getting their homework done and just teaching them about volunteering and different things they can do along those lines. But I mean, we're just still new at
We're just learning a lot still.
No, and I think even years into it, and maybe Christy, you've been doing this for a while. I think years into it, you can still learn a lot because, you know, things change programmatic wise, right? But also environmental wise, like you've got to really take into consideration what's happening at your club. What is your club teen population need now? Like, I know there in Madison, you guys have a really high like teen population suicide rate than, you know, a lot of the other parts of the state. So even bringing in, you know, thinking outside of the box and just educational homework sessions and things like that, like what does your youth need right now, and how can you give that to them in the form of Indiana Kids? So whether, you know, it is, you know, social emotional learning or time with, you know, a therapist or what have you, all of that can and should be wrapped around into the Indiana Kids program to some way. So
I know we really have stepped up our social and emotional learning programs lately, and it's just a matter of getting who's doing that to, you know, make sure the paperwork's getting filled out and attendance is counted and all that. But I know, I mean, with this crazy last year and everything, we all know we're all struggling emotionally and every which way.
Does anybody on here offer, or have you noticed the way your program's changed relevant to COVID or the needs that we see youth facing now? I see, Christy, you're saying, yeah, can you elaborate a little on that? Or maybe, you know, give Brett and Sasha some kind of relief on how to keep up with all this tracking and stuff? Because I keep hearing you say, well, we get the program, but how do we tracking the attendance, all of this?
Yeah, I was actually about to put a sticky note on there about it, but I'll just say it. So in years past, I've been the only one to track everything. I might go to somebody else and, you know, be like, hey, can you tell me what so-and-so did in your room? Because I haven't seen them for a while and they're in Indiana Kids. But now with us doing the pod style, so I don't get to have as many kids come through my room as before. But so because of that, other people also have to be keeping track for me. I create a Word document. This one isn't mine. This is one that I made for one of our other rooms. So on the one side, they write the child, or I already have the child's name on there. And then right next to that, it says time in and time out. And I put on there, it has to be 45 minutes for homework sessions. We talked about how the different times are different, but right now their main focus is homework. So it's 45 minutes. And then I have them write what type of homework session it is, or what type of session it is, just in case they do end up doing a volunteer session or a career session or Smart Kids. And then next to that is another box within the line that says brief description. So then they'll write down like Legos and word search. So then I know that in the binder on their actual paper, I need to write down like STEM and then dash what they did. They built Legos. Obviously, I'm not going to know exactly what the child built, but that still counts because it's still high yield learning activities. Same thing with the word search. I'm going to put ELA because it's for English, and that they did that. And then, so they give me the times, and then it's on their paper. At the end of every day, they bring me their papers so that then I can look it over and decide like, okay, you need to start giving me more. Cause like at one point, even though I had clarified, it's, you know, tricky for some people that have never done this before, especially when you've never done it. Some of them were just writing math, and I'll come back and be like, look, I know what math it was only because I have a kid that's in the exact same grade. So I know what type of math they were working on. I know that they were doing subtraction today. But what I need you to do is tell me whether it was subtraction, addition, multiplication, algebra, whatever. I need more information because we are not allowed to write just math problems. And I always come back to just give me as much information as possible, and then I will decide what I need versus what I don't.
Yeah, so I think we've said it many, many times, and I cannot reinforce it enough. I see it a couple times on the screen now. Organization, and then having, you know, one person oversee the tracking, but also everybody be aware of what needs to be tracked. So when one person's trying to do all the tracking, all the billing, all the implementing, it can be quite chaotic. But if everybody is aware of how the Indiana Kids program is ran, what the benefits of it are, and what it needs to be tracked, it really helps ease the process of the tracking, right? Because the program's pretty easy to implement because it's about club wide. It's just figuring out how to track what is actually being done in a way that is correct and meaningful. So I think that is definitely key, and finding a system that works. So not having attendance sheets in every pod or every class works for everybody. Is there anybody else that's on the call with us today that tracks in a different way?
Hi, Jessica. This is Marina.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good.
I apologize. I jumped in a little bit late. I'm still driving to work.
No, you're fine.
There, but I communicate that information, what kids are in Indiana Kids, and they have a list in each of the rooms in the club. So that way, everybody, when they do something educational, they mark it down. Of course, it's not perfect. Sometimes, you know, staff is busy with other things and they don't have the time, but we constantly communicate either after, at the end of the day or at the beginning of the next day. Another thing that I would
Yep, you cut out, Marina. Marina's one of our friends from Central time zone, so it's a little early for her. She's driving to work, so maybe she'll reconnect when she lands. So anybody else have a different way of keeping track of things other than attendance logs? All right. So what I wanted to do next is spend some time doing exactly what the title of this webinar together is today, is allowing you guys time to really think about creating a schedule that will work at your site that allows Indiana Kids to be done club-wide. We keep saying, you know, tracking is really important, but then also allowing Indiana Kids to happen outside of just the homework room. The clubs that struggle, or I don't want to use the word struggle, the clubs that have the most trouble with implementation is the ones that are calling me up saying, Jessica, I cannot get, you know, little Annie to get to the homework room. Like, it's like pulling teeth. She just doesn't want to do homework. They don't have homework anymore. Everything's done at school. And that's where the struggle comes in, because we've got to remember that it's important to take Indiana Kids outside of the classroom, outside of the homework room. We've got to do it club wide. So thinking club wide today, I really want to focus on what we can do program wide. So just this morning, here's an example. Tipton sent me their club calendar, not Indiana Kids related at all. This is actually for our 21st Century grant that we house through Tipton, but I thought it was really neat because just looking at this this schedule, I mean, looking at it, can anybody like call out a session or two that you would look at and be like, oh, that doesn't say Indiana Kids, but that's totally an Indiana Kids activity? And feel free to put it in chat or just to say it.
All of them could be related, right?
Yeah, to some extent, right? There's not tons of detail, but you know, this is just a calendar. It says, please see the daily schedule and program descriptions for more details. But just looking at this at a glance, yeah, just about any of it, depending on the content, should and could be an Indiana Kids program, whether it's STEAM and being an educational session, or arty party, I'm assuming is probably some kind of art program. That is definitely educational. Whether it is Torch Club, Torch Club to some extent could definitely fall under volunteer or even SMART, depending on what you're doing. It's all about taking that club experience and making it work for the Indiana Kids program, right? If you guys are implementing programming at your club, chances are that somehow it's going to relate to education, volunteer, career, college readiness, or it may not, but the majority of what you're doing should. So even if a kiddo's sitting in the computer, like maybe they're doing Animal Crossing or something, but somewhere in there, you know, there's something educational to it. And even it's just social emotional, you know, let's sit around and chat. Let's talk about, you know, hey, it's Black History Month. It's February. Like, what do you know about it? What do you want to know about it? Like, even things where it's just communicating and conversating, that sometimes is the best education, especially that those kiddos need right now. They just want that one-on-one interaction. Talk about that tough stuff. That's educational, right? I mean, they're learning about it. And granted, you know, there's always that, you know, black and white, that gray area. I'm not saying that, you know, you talk to Johnny about, you know, a video game and so that counts. But I mean, like, if it's a meaningful conversation, then that is certainly part of what that Indiana Kids overall goal is. So think creatively and get outside of that black and white box, because it's so much more than just homework. It's so much more than just those volunteer sessions. So looking at your club schedule, if you look at your current club schedule, you're going to probably realize that there's a lot of opportunity for those Indiana Kids sessions to be placed there. And it's just about working it together. So what I would like to do is, I had a different GM board set up, but since you guys are such a small group, I think it would be silly to make everybody go to a different GM board link. So what I'd like to do, there are 12, there are about 12 of you. I'm going to break you guys into two groups just because there's enough of you. I think it's easier to go down into smaller conversation. And I will actually put the new GM board link in the chat box, since I'm going to break you guys out into groups anyway. And what I'm going to do is I really want, there'll be 2, maybe 3 groups. I want you guys to create a schedule. So what we're going to do is bounce back and forth. With your small group, create like a club-wide weekly schedule, Monday through Friday, what have you. And this was just like a guideline, 2:30 to 6. You're going to, do learning center, art room, tech room. But in reality, since there's a small enough, there's a group small enough, I think you guys can determine what sessions you want to plan it for. So just because I say art room, tech room, library, cadets, it doesn't have to be that detailed, but I want it to be more than just, here's what we're doing at 4 o'clock. Because if your club breaks it out in cadets and teens, what have you, I think it's important for you to take that time right now and plan a schedule that, kind of fits what you're doing at your club. And create it, and then using Jamboard, you're going to build a schedule. That way you can share it with the other groups when we come back together. Does that make sense? And so like if you do homework, like, if homework's from 3:30 to 4, great, that's homework. But, maybe spend a little time really thinking outside of the box. If kids don't have homework, what are you doing with those kids? Because you really want to walk away today saying, okay, well, now I understand how I can implement Indiana Kids, throughout the club and more than what we're doing right now. So use this time to get creative and be as detailed as you possibly can, but in a manner that works for your whole group. So anybody have any questions? I'm going to put the Jamboard link in chat now, just so you have it. And then when you guys break out into groups, I'll let you know if you're group 1 or group 2, so you know which Jamboard to start building your schedule on. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to get everybody in groups. All right, it's going to pop up, and on your screen, just click join. Mm-hmm.
Ours, and then we can just, combine it.
Okay.
I'll try back.
You ladies seem like you know what you're doing.
Just recent. Are you talking to us?
Yeah, I was just checking in to make sure. Has Kendra been able to join?
No,
she
she-
doesn't have a mic.
Mm-mm.
Okay, she said she's here. Okay, I know that she takes. She usually has a lot of good input, so not having a mic is.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she's able to join in. So Kendra, thanks for joining.
So do we just click on the link and?
Yeah, so if you click on the link, you guys will be group 1. So go ahead and click on the link, and then you will see group 1.
Okay.
And that is where you guys will create a pretty basic schedule. But I wanted
All of us should click on the link, or just one person from the group?
well, you can all click on the link, but you will all be group 1, but you can all collaborate on the same link, which is really cool. So you can all click on it, even
Okay.
Kendra. And you guys can all collaborate and just create that schedule. But you will be group 1, so do it under group 1. And I'll give you guys about 20 minutes. So it's 11:36. We'll probably join back together about noon. So use your time wisely. If you guys are done before then, feel free to leave the breakout room and join me back in the main room. But you guys I'll give you about 20 minutes. And Kendra, I just sent the link. So you should be good to go.
Okay. I'll just see.
All right. If I can figure out how to break out of your guys' room, I'm going to go to a different room.
Oh yeah, we got it.
I don't know what I'm doing. All right. Let me know if you need anything.
I am not good at these.
Like previously.
Our kids go wherever. We have like we do have a schedule that we go through, so we have different classes that they get. But before we do that, they just kind of just go wherever they want.
Okay, so yours is sort of like how it was pre-COVID then, other than wearing PPE and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, ladies. I just wanted to check in. You guys will be group 2 on Jamboard. Did one of you or all of you access the board for Jamboard, or do you need the link?
We have the link, but it's the same as the previous link.
I probably just copied and pasted it wrong because I'm fun like that. So I just sent it again in chat. So that should be the correct link. And then you guys will just scroll over to the second page and be group 2. And then I'm going to give you guys until about noon to create it, and then we'll come back together.
Okay.
Awesome. Let me know if you guys have any questions.
Go back. Go to this one.
Hey guys, I just wanted to pop in real quick. I think I might have sent the wrong link out previously. So I just put the new link in chat. So that is the link to the Jamboard. You guys will scroll over and be group 3. So you're going to have until about 12 o'clock. We'll give you about 20 minutes to create a schedule under the heading of group 3 on Jamboard.
Okay. There's no heading.
Did I do it? Maybe you have to switch Jamboards. You have to use a different link. The one I just.
Yeah, we were just going to use this blank Jamboard.
Whatever you want to do, as long as you can present it to the group. I don't care what you guys do. Whatever Jamboard you're on.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yep, I'll give you guys until noon, and then if you need anything, just let me know.
All right.
All right, have fun. Yep.
Right.
In all the areas, especially if you do grants, that's for sure. So everything counts towards Indiana Kids. That should be easy. You just need to be careful tracking it down. That's it. Yeah.
I wish we could tweak
Our schedule.
Yeah.
Let me go back here.
Sorry. As soon as I peeked in, my daughter came in the room. So I was just peeking in to see how you guys were doing.
We were sharing our schedules, and there's a lot of things which we need to tweak on our schedule, like the time frame needs to be at least 45 minutes to an hour. We don't have all the SMART programs in there. We did not have a schedule. We just threw something on paper a week or two ago and just wanted to just get something started. And but we're learning a lot.
Yeah. That's what this is for, right? So over the next couple of days now, you guys can spend some time saying, okay, well, if you're intentionally adding those SMART programming in or what have you, then it's not, oh, we got to do Indiana Kids. It's just part of what you guys are doing.
Right.
So, absolutely. Right. And everybody on here except for Kendra, you both, you guys do 21st century with us. So a lot of this you're doing anyway. So it's just a matter of wrapping it all together. And
Right.
and we always say, you know, a lot of times people assume that because they're doing 21st century, it doesn't count as Indiana kids. In reality, it does, because 21st century is cost reimbursement, right? You know, you get paid for, you know, reimbursed for salary, supplies, things like that. Where Indiana kids, you get reimbursed based off of performance and components. So you can do the same session and count it towards 21st century and Indiana kids, and that is completely okay. And we encourage you to do that. So doing the 21st century programming and Indiana kids, you really, I mean, the easiest thing, and you guys have been doing a great job at it, is finding a way to make those work together. So it's not, you know, oh, hey, Marina, you had another pre-test. I know you took the same test 2 weeks ago, but here you are again. Sorry, because you do that and kids are gonna be like, oh, Indiana kids, I'm hiding, I'm running, I want nothing to do with
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
very cool, very cool.
I stopped. I mean, like I was still driving earlier, but I was talking about the tracking of the kids as something that I want to implement in the club in the very near future. If it's possible that we all have device in our rooms, so that way I create one live Excel sheet and we just put the information directly, so the staff who's in Indiana kids, whenever they open the Excel sheet, they can see it right away. Oh, you know, like instead of, because I hate those papers, it's everywhere. And this way it's on a computer, you know, you can even access from a phone, from an iPad and stuff like that, because we use that for our buses and it worked so far. But now we have to figure out how to do it. And also I have staff who are not that tech savvy. And I have like a gentleman who's like a little bit older. So, you know, for him, it might be a little bit, but for that one area, I can skip that one area and have him do it on paper, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that tracking down and communication with the other staff is the most important.
Oh, absolutely.
Could we buy iPads and write it off like on 21st century?
I'm shaking my head. We have in the past. I don't know what your guys' budget. Lana does the budgets. I don't know what your budget looks like, but if you have it in there, for several of our 21st century sites, we've actually purchased like
Chromebooks.
Yeah, like Chromebook carts. It's like a charging cart where you can fit like 20 in there, and it's like on wheels, and you can move it around based on program area. And yeah, so your 21st century dollars can be used really creatively. I don't know what your budget currently looks like. I would definitely reach out and ask. But that's definitely something you could do. Some clubs, not that we house, but like our Huntington Club does the 21st century program, and they actually like use Kid Tracks or My Club Hub, whatever they're using, and they actually like scan kids' membership cards into every program area, which they think it's great. Yeah, but so then we just pull a report and say like, oh, these kids were in the homework room, and we know that they're tagged as 21st century or Indiana kids, and I think that's a nightmare because then you're just scanning them in everywhere. But that's how they do it. They scan and whatever works. So.
Well, for us, we're doing the same thing in Vision, tracking the activities now. We used to be general attendance. Now we're tracking the activities, but all the work I'm doing it because at the end of the day, I have to manually put in all the names in the system.
Yeah, no. All right, girls, I'm going to give you a few more minutes. I'm going to jump in. I know I said 12, but I'm going to jump into the other room. So give me a few more minutes and we'll bring us all back together.
Okay.
Awesome. Oh, I don't ever remember how to leave your breakout room.
I can imagine. We're getting ready to since the freestanding site, since our site is not funded through 21st century, we applied for the grant and we got it. And so we are opening sister sites, one at a Heath Washington school and then one at South Harrison school. So we will have 2 additional sites in schools, which is going to be very, very different for us.
School sites are a totally different breed.
Yeah, that's what we hear.
Just make sure you guys getting good with the school faculty.
Yeah, that's
Annie, we're bringing them all back in from breakout rooms, so they're going to join us in about 20 seconds.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Well, we tried.
And Monday is mindful you day. They do yoga and things. Doesn't really correlate into Indiana kids too much, but that's just one of the activities they do.
So Jessica's put us all back in one group, I think. And so right now everyone's I think they're
Oh.
All right, guys. I think we are all back together again. And my head's spinning. I hear mindful yoga, and I'm sure there's a way to tie that into Indiana kids. So, I mean, mindful yoga could be even, you know, homework sessions a lot of times aren't 45 minutes. So maybe the first 20 minutes are mindful yoga or any type of meditation or self-care coming together, deep breaths, reflection, things like that. And then you wrap up with homework. So mindful yoga could definitely be a good start of the day. And even, you know, you all gather in, I've seen so many different things, you know, you guys are all so unique, but whether it's, you know, kicking off as a big gym meeting, you know, everybody comes together as one, you know, and then we are going to talk about what's going to happen for the day. Or it is, you know, everybody's in their pods now because COVID's made everything a little more different. And maybe for the first 10, 15 minutes, like I said, I do an online class, and I always, the first 10, 15 minutes, it's like a snack and chat. Let's just get together in space and talk. How are you today? You know, how's your day been? How are you feeling? You know, what's your favorite TV show? Just breaking in that environment and just getting them prepared for what's next. So even if I heard, you know, as I was going through some of the conversations, well, it's not a 45-minute session, but, you know, we need to tweak that. Well, what are you doing for the time leading up to that? Because again, that all can lead into, you know, maybe it's healthy eating, you know, you're having a snack for the first 15 minutes and then rolling into a 30-minute homework session. That's really Indiana kids too, because you're eating your healthy snack. You know, there are so many different components to what you're doing. So I'm going to quit talking and allow time for group one. So it's neat because everybody's schedule looks slightly different and everybody did it in a different format. And I know a lot of it was not so much about creating the schedule, but that content and collaboration that went into talking and what you learned through talking with one another. So can group one just kind of share takeaways from what you collected?
I'll just start with us here. Our weekly schedule, the one on the left there, we just threw that together because there was no schedule. So we're tweaking it as we're learning things. These are things that kids were interested in. We did throw in some Smart Girls, Passport to Manhood stuff, that volunteer service, STEM club, things that are related. Well, pretty much everything can be related to Indiana kids on here. But there's things we need to add more of the SMART programs into our schedule. We need to make the time at least 45 minutes to an hour increments instead of just the half hour. There's a lot of things we need to tweak on here, but a lot of these things like our dance club and music club and our jewelry making club, like a lot of kids are really getting into it, and it's just fun to watch them and
yeah.
stuff. But we just have some changes to make, and we've learned a lot already from this session.
So much.
So let me ask you this, and this is open to everybody in general. So when you say you add SMART programming to your schedule, so you know every Monday or whatever, every day at 4 o'clock, it's SMART programming. Who's in charge of that SMART programming? Is it you telling your part-time staff, okay, you're going to run this session, or is it your part-time staff or whomever taking control and actually saying, okay, here's the curriculum, here's how I want to do it, and actually taking ownership into what you're asking them to do?
Actually, like this, just last week, Brandy, our CEO, had put one of our staff members in charge of certain of the SMART programs. And then I think she's also going to have you do. So there's two main people that she put in charge of doing it. And then I guess they'll delegate or they'll actually run these different programs. I'm not sure. Was everybody else?
Yeah, Christy, is that how you do? Oh, is that how you do it? Do you say, okay, it's Smart Girls time here, you're going to run, lesson 2 today, or does your staff implement, okay, well, I know I have to come up with a career session, so it's on, I'm figuring out what's next, or how does that work?
Well, last year and years prior, okay, obviously last year doesn't count. The year before and years prior, we paired the Smart Kids with, we have a pageant. So we paired it with that. So that then it was Grace, the person that runs the pageant, it was up to her to decide which weeks she would do which sessions because of how it fit with her pageant and with her program. So we just fit it into the program.
Yeah, and anybody else have anything to add to that?
So we have like 6-7 staff. So like we put 2 staff in charge of Smart Kids, 2 staff in charge of, say, Art Club, and then they're building a curriculum for each cohort to run. And then it's on the staff in that cohort to run what these staff came up with.
Yeah, so I've seen it done in, several different formats, but I think it's, a lot of the SMART programming and such, of course, you can, modify it to fit your needs, but a lot of it's already there, right? It's already a curriculum. So I have found it best if instead of Christy or Brett or, somebody trying to implement everything, it's figuring out who's going to do the Smart Girls programming and making it to where that person is enjoying what they're teaching, right? And also aware and able to modify it based off of whom they're teaching, because anybody can take the curriculum and read it. But those that are going to take away the most of it is going to be based off of the learning that they are receiving from you, right? So it may be the most boring thing I've ever done, but my favorite staff is teaching it. So I'm going to go to it regardless. So I think taking ownership into what you're, instead of just saying, oh, you got to do a career session, we need it. Nope. Own it up, like, hey, you're going to create this career program over the next 5 weeks, career schedule, here's what you're going to do. Then everything you're doing is intentional and meaningful, and it's not just checking that box of getting it done. So the reason I asked that, so having Smart Girls on your weekly schedule is fantastic, but beyond that, who's in charge of making that come to live instead of it just being part of the calendar? Who's taking ownership of that? Who's inviting the kids in and making it something exciting and meaningful that they are learning from as well? So very cool. Anybody, what else from group 1?
Well, the schedule that's on the right, that's from the Portage Club. And it's not like a very strict schedule because we have to be flexible because of all the circumstances that we have around us. Every single day it's different. We depend a lot on the busing, what time the kids arrive. So usually the hour from 3 to 4, it's kind of like not all the kids are here. They're still arriving. So you cannot run, specific program that's, like you got to have all the kids in that program. So we're kind of like very flexible in that hour. We do still have specific areas where the kids go into. And as you can see, I have the 21st Century running at that time because the middle school kids are the first to arrive. Not every day, but at least most of the days. So the Indiana Kids is open from 3 o'clock until the end of the day. So they cycle through that room the whole time. And staff usually gives me a list of kids if she needs somebody specifically. Oh, I need to post-test or pre-test somebody, or they need to do this or that. So she gives me a list of the kids and I'll go around and find the kids and make sure that they go in the room. But also in the room, because of the social distancing, we have only capacity of 10 to 11, 12 maybe. That's it. And then, of course, after they're finished, I go find another group of the kids and they go in. For example, yesterday or the day before, they were doing those blankets for pets as a volunteering session. And because everybody wanted to participate and you cannot cycle them in one day. So we had to prolong it like multiple days, as many as is necessary. And that's not a problem at all, because we have constant communication between all the staff in the club, not just the Indiana Kids. Everybody in the building knows what Indiana Kids is and how they can help that program to run. So I think that's very helpful. And we do have a lot of grants running in this building, so they're overlapping at the same time. As you can notice on my schedule, I do not have the specifically point out the smart decisions and the smart kids. And that's because we are starting them in the end of February. We haven't started them yet because we have so many grants that are overlapping at the moment. And usually from 4 to 5 is specifically grants in all the rooms. And then from 5 to 6 is again another batch if there's a lot of kids in that grant program and we need to switch. Then from 5 to 6 is the second group. So we're trying to be flexible. We do have this schedule to kind of like keep everything organized. And I have it for 1 hour because basically the session is like 45 minutes, but then we have washing hands and cleaning the area and disinfecting. So that takes a lot of time.
No, I agree completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important. I heard you say it, Marina, at your club, and I know Elkhart uses it. They had a really good example of, at staff trainings or new hires or what have you, they have a PowerPoint that outlines each grant, not just Indiana Kids, but each grant, why is it important, what it is. So, if you're always saying, oh, I need Jessica to come to the homework room, I need this, and staff are like, well, quit bothering me. But if they understand why you're asking for it and the impact of Indiana Kids and how it spreads outside of, what does that money do? Is that where you get your, your staff retreats or whatever? If they just understand the why, and even kids as adults, as, youth, if we understand the why are we being asked this? It's so much easier to implement and to process when you understand the why. So just making sure that everybody understands what Indiana Kids is or what, 21st century, whatever it is. I think it's helpful. So when you speak that verbiage of, oh, well, I need so-and-so for Indiana Kids, they know exactly, that need and desire. So well done. What about group 2? I don't remember who was in group 2, but here are who can help us understand what we're seeing.
So since our group, for the first while, we talked about what our actual schedules looked like within our clubs and whether we were in the pods or not. They were very different. So we just sort of decided then that we would focus, because of time-wise, we were going to focus on elementary then. So, and we would focus on the days of the week rather than timing, because again, the times that we have kids are very, very different. So after talking, we had decided that Monday we would say the focus would be homework programming, and an example would be art where they're doing free drawing or other things within the art room. Tuesday, the focus would be a career session. So an example of that would be how to be a test facilitator with Mrs. Mary. So she would get up and explain what it means, and the kids would talk about it, have a discussion, and then either fill out those papers that we have or, color a picture that went along with it or something. Wednesday would be, again, a homework programming. And an example would be Wacky Wednesday, and the kids would all be doing various math games. Thursday would be volunteer session. An example would be making cards for Soldiers Over the Seas, so that counts as outside hours. And then Friday could be Smart Kids, and that was, I did do the time-wise because so that we could establish like 2 to 2:45 would be Smart Kids, and then 3 to 3:45 would be Start Smart, since it was elementary, or our focus was elementary and not teens. Because like I said, we all have the various programs where we have it built in that we can count things for homework or career sessions or well, I guess maybe not so much career sessions, but definitely homework sessions. So being intentional then of adding in the components for the career sessions, for the volunteer sessions, for the SMART sessions.
Yeah, how neat. I've seen something recently where a club took it as with COVID now, you know, there's a way to redefine everything we're doing. And so now every club was hiring positions. Like if you wanted to, you know, help clean up the kitchen after snack, like you had to interview and apply for that position, not like junior staff, right? But it was a way to do Indiana career sessions. So, you know, even kids as young as 9 or 10 were completing a resume or an application and applying to help Miss Christie. Like I'm going to be Miss Christie's helper on Friday. And in order to do that, I have to, you know, apply for it and then interview for it and just start getting some of those simple, like, you know, interviewing skills and job readiness skills. So it's not always, you know, remember when we took away the job readiness component, I think we should still focus a lot on job readiness, even though it's not in the Indiana Kids program anymore. We did say you could do it under a career. So even if you're doing like Money Matters or some of those other programs that are career related or that are job readiness related, those can still fall under career sessions right now. So I'm having those, you know, even with Youth of the Year coming up, if your Youth of the Year is an Indiana Kids participant, a lot of what they are doing should count towards their Indiana career sessions, because that is, I mean, they're interviewing, they're doing all of that. So just getting creative, like I said, in what you're doing already. So if you have just like even a little store at your club where you are interviewing and making those kids apply to be part of that, is just helping, you know, instill some of those career and job readiness skills at such an early age in a way that they don't even realize it. But it's fun and exciting because they want to be, you know, Miss Christie's next helper or whatever. So well done. And then what about group 3 was on this Jamboard. So what about group 3? Can anyone explain to us what took place in group 3?
Hey, it's Sarah here. I was partnered with Cheyenne and Travis. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. So me and Cheyenne were both in the same building, so we just shared a computer. So personally at our club, we try to have careers multiple days just so that, you know, we try to pinpoint kids that are here all the time, but obviously we try to have like careers a couple days a week. That way we catch kids that maybe weren't here on the first day when we did careers and things like that. And so this is very much very much how we kind of do our Indiana Kids schedule. We have at our site, we have an education room, and we have two staff that are our education staff. And so for the most part, they handle the younger kids, the younger kid age groups, and then I do the reporting part. I'm the program director, and then for our teens, we have a teen room, and so our teen staff in there, I work with them and train them on how to do the teen programming side of it, and then they report back to me, and I do the reporting part. But as for here, we talked with Travis and kind of picked his brain on some activities that we do, or that he does at his club, and so like he had brought up doing math bingo, and math dodgeball, things like that. And then we had one summer I did a project. It was, I don't know if y'all remember the show Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, that show. We did like a whole summer program, part of our reading program. We did that, and so we try to incorporate some of those projects every once in a while as well. And Travis, did you have anything you wanted to add about it?
No, I'm sorry I wasn't able to help put stuff on here, but no, it looks really good. And
Okay, yeah. And I think you brought up a good point, Sarah, is a lot of times you have your kids, you know, that group that always goes straight to the gym, right? They're always in the gym. How do you implement Indiana Kids in the gym? Because no matter what you do, they're going to the gym as soon as they get there. So remember, I heard a couple different, ways that you guys said it, and I see it here a couple times. Remember, Indiana Kids can even be implemented in the gym, in the games room, as simple as, math and dodgeball, or, a game of horse that you do in the spelling format, or I've seen it even done in a classroom with just a trash can, an empty trash can and a ball, and you're going to get a spelling word and you have to spell it. And then if you make it, you get a point. Or, you're in the gym and you do spelling relay. It's probably been one of my favorites, where you have a bunch of letters, the alphabet, cut out, laminated, whatever. And you do a math relay where you're trying, maybe you're giving them a 5-letter word, or the word, spider, or whatever the word is. And then, one person runs to the other side of the gym and has to find the S or whatever, and then goes back and tag teams their partner or whatever. But then they're spelling, but they're in the gym, they're running, they don't realize they're doing it. So whether it's like a math relay, or, there's so many different things you can do to bring Indiana Kids and an educational experience into the gym, or even the games room. You have the pool table or whatever, and you have the kid that hits, the 4-ball or what have you into the left pocket, and the left pocket, you have a piece of paper, a piece of tape on there that says, 2. So the kid can, they hit the 4-ball into the pocket that's labeled 2. They have to multiply 4 times 2, or add 4 plus 2, or whatever it is. I mean, they are just playing pool, but they're learning, right? So maybe it's carpet ball, but every time they hit the ball, they have to, say a rhyming word, or who knows, right? Get creative, have fun. If you know that you have kids that are only in the computer lab every day, and that's the only room in the club that they attend, find a way to implement Indiana Kids into what they're doing. It can be done. I really enjoy here the history of parachutes, and then a parachute game. So not only, are they just going to the gym and playing a parachute, but beforehand, they're going to, maybe spend 15 minutes understanding the history of the parachute, and then do the 30-minute game. And therefore it is an educational game. So I heard a couple different other things. Lego clubs are always fun. I saw Lego Club on a schedule. I was just talking about it earlier today to my household, where you can take, a book and then recreate it using Legos, or build a Lego scene and then write a story about it. So you can even take something as simple as Legos and turn it into education. And then summer camp, spring break, things like that. A lot of clubs will do, okay, here's a week long, it's spring break, but here's our schedule, and you really implement Indiana Kids in everything you do over spring break. So you're really getting kids through. So creating your schedules with Indiana Kids in mind is so important, and making sure, again, that it's being done intentionally and meaningful, in a meaningful way. Anybody else want to add anything about scheduling? No. So I really hope that you guys have been able to take this time and really understand how the creative process will work, if you will, and how easy, I say that, but I'm, not in the club directly. I know there are a lot of barriers that we all face, but hopefully you will walk away feeling like it's a little easier to implement Indiana Kids and what you do program wide. There are a couple of resources I continue to add to the Google Drive with all of the resources that I have gathered for you guys. There are resources from clubs. There are resources that I have found. I found something interesting this morning, added it to the Google Drive. So just as a reminder, I'm going to put the link to the Google Drive in the chat box now, but just a reminder that that Google Drive is there, and I think you guys should be able to add to it. So if you're like, oh, here's my schedule, I don't mind sharing it with others, feel free to add that into that Google Drive and use it as resources for each other. And I'm putting it in chat now. So it is in chat. And before we left, I wanted to remind you guys of a couple things. We do have an arts and music training coming up for Indiana Kids. Emily Seiler, Cheyenne and Sarah, here you guys on the call. Emily Seiler used to be in Harrison Crawford County for many years, and she is actually doing different things right now. And one of those is offering STEM and arts and music at a local elementary school. So we have partnered with her, and she's going to do a Arts on a Budget presentation for you guys within Indiana Kids, and that is scheduled for the 17th. So there is a link to register for that. It was also sent out via email. So that is currently the only other training that we have scheduled for Indiana kids. I don't know if you guys have participated in the U-Lead trainings at all. I know Christy has. I know Sasha's been on a couple. But I've actually, as I've been sitting here, I just got contract from U-Lead, and we're actually going to take some U-Lead sessions and start implementing them with Indiana kids. And the fact where we will do it, it's still a work in progress, so I would love any feedback, to where they're going to offer sessions for youth. So we're going to do it through Youth of the Year a little bit, and continue what we've been doing with our U-Lead partnership, but also have them pre-record, and then we will do, like, you know, offer live sessions where your Indiana kids can join in, but really offering sessions for youth directly as well that will help with education, career, things like that. I think a lot of times, you know, we all are like, oh, it's great what we offer, but it's always fun to get, you know, whether teens or younger population in on a webinar statewide to see others. And U-Lead does a really good job at interacting, and the kids, you know, will have fun. It's not a learning, it is a learning experience, but it's not just another webinar, if you will. U-Lead does a great job at engaging and reflecting. So that's still very early in the process. I got an email today asking if we wanted to talk about it and figure out what that would look like. But on our end, we are trying to find different ways to offer creative online Indiana Kids programming for you guys as well. So I'm going to call you out, Chrissy, just because I know you've been on the training. So, I mean, if you can think of any, I mean, anything, I can share it with you, what the outline looks like now, and if you would find that beneficial, because I think it's going to be helpful, I'd really love other feedback, but know that there are other trainings coming out on our end, but we, I don't ever mind hosting trainings for you guys. So if you found this meaningful and you just want time, you know, maybe once a month just to get on a call and sit with others just to talk about whatever, we can always do that. So just reach out and let me know if there are any other trainings that you guys would find beneficial, but also be aware of the arts and music training that we do have coming up. We are implementing our statewide contest. I know all of you are aware of that by now, but I wanted just as another reminder. Currently, we say until February 12th. We've had very few submissions, so we are in dire need of more submissions. That may change, but I really need it, you know, immediately, because legislative session's going on now, and that's what I want it for, is to share with our lobbyists and legislators. So the sooner the better to get that. But I wanted to remind you guys of that statewide contest that is currently going on, and the need for it. But that is all I had for you guys today. So I am more than happy to hang out. I'm going to answer any questions that you may have. But I am also, you know, more than happy to let you guys go and go eat lunch or what have you. But I appreciate you guys taking the time and coming together today in the hopes of being able to create an Indiana Kids program that works across your site. And hopefully you find meaning in your time together today. Does anybody have any questions for any of your peers or for me while we're here? All right. Well, if nobody has any questions, I will let you guys go. Enjoy your Tuesday, have some lunch, and then keep an email out, and we will get back together soon and do this again.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your day, guys.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you, Jessica.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.